Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to the eastern wing of the Stinkbug Works. Stand by. Oh, that's hot. I've torn apart my little gearbox. One of my viewers was concerned that what I'm doing to it will forever change it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new one of these and keep this just in case. And in fact, the new one of these is going to look like this. It's going to look like this. And in fact, I have coordinates on all the holes. And what I plan to do is to chuck this up in a mill and then just drill the holes according to the coordinates, and then later connect the ones that need to be connected. Now, here's a big stumbling block I've come across, and I think I have a solution to it. And the stumbling block is these little smile cuts. And the center of the cut is the top bolt for the motor, and then the smile cut is so this little motor can rotate about one of the screws and change the distance between the center of this and the center of that. Well, as you can see here, now these originally had smaller holes and I had to widen them, and these have had several different motors on it. And now we're back to speed 300s again. But this was made 30, 35 years ago, when all I had at my disposal were hand files and a drill press. And for hand files and a drill press, it's okay, but quite frankly, it's worn out, and the smile cuts have become too big for smaller screws, and they do this thing where they crush this little portion. See, this I bored out as a circle, and it too really needed to be a smile cut. That's kind of what I have here, and I'm going to accomplish that in a different way. So here's how I'm going to do these smile cuts. Now, there's two ways to do it. Actually, there's an infinite number of ways. There's two ways I would do it. One is to set up the rotary table on the mill, put this in the center and center it on this motor hole, and then go a half an inch away and cut this smile cut, and you could use the crank on the rotary table to rotate it just enough to do that. And yeah, it would work. It would work bitchin'. The problem is it takes half a day, maybe longer, to set up the darned rotary table, because first you got to bolt it down to the mill, and then you have to center the mill over the center of the... So what I'm going to do is this. You're going to love this. As long as this whole piece can rotate about the rotational, this motor mount hole, then the smile cut's going to be fine and dandy. So I'm just going to clamp a piece of material into the mill and then run a 1.5 millimeter bolt through there and snug it down hand tight. Not quite Guten tight, and way far from gorilla tight. So just tight, so that this can still move a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll set it up so that the mill, I'll get to that in a second, can just cut this little arc. So here's how I'm going to cut the arc. So now I've got a block of material with a 1.5 millimeter screw hole going through it and a screw hole in this end to where this can rotate, and I'll clamp that piece of material in the mill vise, and I'll set it up in such a way that the mill itself can go through the material but not crash on anything below it. I'll raise it up or move it off to the side, one of the two. I'll probably raise it up and put it on a piece of wood and let the mill go into the piece of wood. Now, here's the deal with the mill. This is a little tiny hole here, folks. Just a little tiny hole. That's 1.5 millimeters, and I've got to get a smile cut on 1.5 millimeters. So the plan is this. I have coordinates on, well, every point in here, but I have coordinates on the holes at the end of the smile. I'll drill those while I'm drilling all the other holes, and then I'll clamp this up so that it can pivot, run it under a 1.5 millimeter ball end mill, and I'll use a ball end mill, and I'll just rotate this thing by hand. It'll be clamped into the mill vise. I'll rotate it by hand, and what'll happen is I'll have a end hole. When it gets to the end hole, I won't rotate it anymore. And then I'll take little shallow cuts because, you know, I can't be taking big cuts with this jury rig setup I'm doing with a bolt here. So I'll take little tiny cuts, and a whole lot of them, and I can get a nice little smile cut in there, and it will all be good, and everybody will be happy. You know, the gear here will be happy, the gear here will be happy, and the gear in the middle will be happy. It'll be a happy scenario. So, I could cut them today, but I do not have a 1.5 millimeter ball end mill. Oh, I might. I have a whole bunch of just unknown ball end mills, but I'd have to go through 30 or 40 or 50 mills, and I don't think any of them is small as 1.5 millimeter. That's pretty small. So I ordered some 1.5 millimeter ball end mills, and we'll just have to wait for them to show up to do this. So we're waiting for foam there. We're waiting for end mills here. We're waiting for motors there. You know, it's all hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. But you can get going right now on your figure 8 challenge. 15 laps, 100-foot course, figure 8. I've thought up another challenge, which will be, you know, dirt simple like this one, but I'm not going to talk about that one. I already have the challenge 2026, and that may be the last challenge for a while. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, I got an idea. Maybe, what do you guys think about this? I could do continuing charges or challenges, and what I would do is solicit prizes from you guys and then give them out to other guys. That way everybody could get rid of their old stuff and make room for new stuff, because having room for new stuff's cool. I'm clearing out, and well, this is getting new stuff. Sometimes, sometimes being sometimes being a friend of Steve's means your projects have to wait for this because this one's important. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So they're on their way. They're on their way. If you order them, it may be faster than if I order them, though. It's just the way of the world. So there you are, boys and girls. I've talked on for 10 minutes, and I've said not much. I looked at my workbench and didn't think I had anything to talk about, and now we're going on 11 minutes. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.